Okay, good afternoon again, everyone. It's Nick Petro here at the National Weather Service with your winter storm briefing for Sunday's storm. What I thought I would do here is just quickly drop by here and say hello from the National Weather Service in Raleigh. This briefing here is we've done some minor changes. We've got the updated precipitation type simulations and updated precipitation amounts, made some minor tweaks. I've already emailed out those briefings and already uploaded these slides I'm about to show. I've already uploaded to the webpage and emailed them out, so you should have them in your email, or you can download them from our webpage at weather.gov/Raleigh. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into the briefing here, and essentially, nothing has changed here on this slide here. Snow, ice, wind, power outages, hazardous travel, potential for some flash flooding, and even possibly river flooding early next week. All those hazards are on the table. A couple tweaks. We've tweaked the description here for the location, for the ice, where the greatest ice accrual is expected. We've actually increased the wind here a little bit, 25 to 35 miles per hour instead of the 20 to 30 that we were earlier expecting. So that can be a big player in ultimately what we end up seeing happen. Now, real quick, I like to show this just to kind of, set the table for why we're seeing what we're seeing. And let me just grab my drawing tool here. Bear with me here for a second. And of course, here's the low here. Whoops. Wrong tool. Let's try to get the tool here. Oh, no, that may not work after all. So yeah, my drawing tool is not going to allow me to do that. So I apologize. But here's the low here in Mississippi, and you can see as I zoom out, high pressure centered just north of the Great Lakes is extending down across the Carolinas. And the one thing I want to call your attention to, these are the numbers here are current temperatures, but let me put on here dew points, and look at those dew points just to our north. When we did this briefing at 9 o'clock this morning, what was our dew points? Our dew points were in the upper 20s, if not lower 30s, and now they're already down to the lower 20s. And just look to our north in Virginia and Pennsylvania, and you can see even single-digit dew points. Now, dew point is a measurement, obviously, of humidity and moisture. Okay, so the drier the air that comes our way, the more opportunity for atmospheric cooling in the low levels. And that's what's going to set the stage for wintry precipitation types, and why it's going to be so cold tomorrow. Because as that initial precipitation falls into that dry air, it dries up. And when there, evaporation results in cooling. So let me put the wind here, and notice the wind is, what direction is that? That's from the north. so those winds you see right there, those wind barbs are bringing those really low dew points down our way. And clearly, there's really nothing. There's a few echoes and radar returns moving across the Carolinas now, but none of that is reaching the ground. We're just really sampling mid and high clouds. You have to get back to back to Tennessee and Alabama before you get into the precipitation. Okay, so it's on its way. It's coming. So anyway, here, of course, is the summary of the greatest impact. So power outages we think could be quite substantial, and particularly west of US 1, as well as the icing that occurs in the hazardous travel. All right, so I've updated these images. They're slightly different compared to what I normally show. But I think it does a really good job. I shop around, so to speak, for the best P-type simulation graphics I could find, the ones that conceptually match what our forecasters here at the National Weather Service think is going to happen. And these are the graphics that I found that most closely match what's in our heads, what's in our forecasters' heads, what we think is going to happen. So anyway, there you see it, 3 a.m. Finally, we may see some of those precipitation echoes reach the ground in the far western part of the state. And by 5 a.m., that precipitation will be advancing northward. And in the color code I've labeled down at the bottom, the blue is snow, the The pink is sleet, the red is freezing rain, and the green is rain. So you can see there by 7 a.m., the precipitation is going to be basically along in north of Highway 60, or I'm sorry, along and south of Highway 64. So and that'll be creeping northward as the morning progresses. And believe it or not, it looks like the freezing rain will be all the way as far south as and east as the coastal plain, with rain just along the immediate coastal areas. On the flip side, look up at the Triad. It'll be snowing at first along and north of 85. Unfortunately, the interstates aren't on here, and my drawing tool isn't working, so I apologize. I can't highlight that. But anyway, sure enough, along and north of 85 is where we'll be seeing the snow that falls initially. Okay, then as I get into this next slide, this is like the core of the event. This is when I think it's going to be coming down the hardest, and we're going to be accumulating the various precipitation types the fastest, and when conditions really go downhill. So again, we're looking for a very quick changeover from freezing rain to rain on the eastern edge, so that by 11 a.m. Most places east of I-95 by 11 a.m. or noon should have switched to rain. And that transition from freezing rain to rain, again, along and east of I-95 is going to happen fairly quickly. That's why when I get to our precipitation amounts, you're going to see that's where the lowest freezing rain accruals will be. The lowest freezing rain amounts east of I-95, because that's where we switch to rain the earliest. Okay, but you'll see once you get west of US 1, which US 1 runs basically along this corridor right here. Gosh, I wish my highlighter was working. I apologize for that. But once you get west of US 1, that's where it's sleet and snow. And then you can just watch that red transition north and westward with time throughout the afternoon on Sunday as that warm air makes its way to the north and west. Okay, so but one thing I want you to note, kind of make a mental note as you're looking at these images, is which counties end up staying in the red the longest. Okay, so we're talking basically from the Charlotte area northeast to Anson, Stanley, Montgomery, Randolph, Chatham, Alamance, maybe Orange County. Those are the places, maybe western Moore County, western Richmond County. Those are the counties where we think you're going to see this red, the freezing rain, linger the longest. Okay, but even south, even across Anson, Richmond, Scotland, Hoke, and Moore counties, you're going to change over to rain by mid-afternoon as well. So that will help, hopefully, wash some of that ice away. But north of there, that freezing rain is going to continue. There's really not much change you could see between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. on Sunday. But by 7 p.m., note that that the freezing rain line pushes almost to not the freezing rain line, the rain line, that is. The rain line, the transition to rain pushes almost to the Triad by 7 p.m. But one thing you'll notice, the Triad, we're talking basically, in this particular case, I know the Triad is considered a larger area, but the three counties where I think it's going to stay either snow, sleet, or freezing rain the longest, the wintry precip types, Guilford, Forsyth, and Davidson County, and maybe northwest Randolph County, the High Point area. I think from there northwestward, that's where you're not going to see the rain, more than likely. So that means, snow will accumulate, sleet will accumulate, and then there'll be a crusting of, freezing rain on top of that. That's where I think the travel hazards will be the worst in the Triad region, and power outages, of course. By 9 p.m., 11 p.m. Tomorrow, this thing's going to be wrapping up by, after midnight, it'll pretty much be over. Okay? So how much? Let's get to these updated amounts. Now, in case you're wondering, well, why only 2 to 3 inches in the Triad up to Person County? That's because it switches over to sleet and freezing rain. So we had to bring the snow numbers down and increase the sleet and freezing rain numbers, okay? If you're east of I-95, you might see a few flurries at the very beginning, but it's not going to accumulate. Even if you're just west of I-95, you're probably just going to see flurries, and then it immediately changes to sleet and freezing rain. Same for the southern counties, Anson, Stanley County over toward Moore County and Harnett County. You might see a few flurries, but then it quickly switches. Once you get north of 64, that's where there could be maybe a light coating, but really the greatest amount of snow accumulation will be in the Triad region up to Person County. Okay. And then, of course, with that changeover to freezing rain, we're looking at the red area. That red bin, as I like to call it, is where the 1/4 to 1/2 inch ice amounts are forecast. So that's where we expect, in that red area, where we expect the greatest ice accumulation, the greatest number of trees that will fall, and the most widespread power outages. And not to mention travel impacts. Obviously, travel will probably be nearly impossible in that red area come this time tomorrow. Okay, what time is it? Yeah, it's 4:40. This time tomorrow, folks aren't really going to be able to go anywhere, particularly in the red area and probably even in the orange areas too. Okay, but by this time tomorrow, we're going to start to see those trees starting to break and the power outages starting to expand. And again, I can't emphasize enough, the red area is where we think the greatest impact will be, because that's where we expect the greatest accumulation of ice. Now, between that orange area from the Triangle region south toward Sanford and maybe toward Laurinburg, there could still be 1/10, maybe 2/10 of an inch of ice. So maybe some scattered power outages. And then once you get east of I-95, just a light glaze, and then it'll quickly change to rain, and it'll be gone. 2/200ths, 500ths of an inch of freezing rain, that'll wash right away once it changes to rain. Okay, so I don't expect much. While you're in the yellow east of I-95, that's only going to last for a very short time before it all gets washed away. Okay. All right. We had to bump these numbers up for the wind a little bit, so obviously that'll aggravate the falling trees and power outage situation. But suffice it to say, it's going to be windy, and that's not going to make things any better. High temperatures tomorrow are going to be very late in the day, probably even after sunset, and then overnight tomorrow night, temps aren't going to fall much. If they fall at all, they'll probably maybe just stay steady. And then finally, some good news. Monday. The sun comes out, temperatures warm into the 40s. Hopefully we get rid of some of this ice, particularly where the orange area is. I bet you on Monday, where the orange amounts are, that orange bin, 1/10 to 1/4, I think most of that will be gone thanks to these temperatures here on Monday. Okay, but in the Triad, the places where you get greater than 1/4 inch of freezing rain, I think there's still going to be lots of ice around, and refreeze potential Monday night. So very cold nighttime temperatures will prolong icy travel, icy roads, and black ice problems. There'll probably even be some black ice problems further east, all the way to I-95, due to these cold temperatures. Okay, and that's Tuesday morning, Monday night. All right, so again, just another way to show and convey when we think the worst of the weather is going to be. Tonight, we're going to watch the precipitation gradually move in from the west, but really Sunday and Sunday night, we think in terms of impacts, we think will be the worst Sunday night, tomorrow night. And then, of course, with icy roads continuing Monday morning, we're hopefully improving conditions on Monday, and then a little bit of a black ice concern there for Monday night into Tuesday morning. All right, a couple of things key points I want to make on this last slide, because some of these, some of these are common sense things, and some of these, we can't remind folks enough, especially for our friends, our partners, our public safety partners that are watching us on GoToWebinar. I know you know a lot of this stuff already, but for our public friends who are watching on Facebook, just remember, I really want to encourage folks, if you're going to use alternate heat, such as a fireplace, space heater, use safeguards, properly have things ventilated. And if you're going to use a generator, if your power goes out and you're going to use a generator, never, ever put that generator indoors or in your garage. Make sure that, make sure it's at least, the generators are at least 15 feet away from your house and away from vents and doors and windows. Even a small opening can allow deadly carbon monoxide to enter the home when you're operating that generator. And that goes for gas grills too, okay? You never want to operate those items in the garage or real close to the door, home windows. Keep it at least 15 feet away. Okay, make sure you have an emergency kit in your car and your home, and items that you'll need for at least, to sustain yourself for 72 hours. You can go to ready.gov to download a list of what to put in your storm kit. It's getting kind of late to build that storm kit. If you haven't done it by now, you're running out of time. Okay, and remember, widespread power outages are expected, especially in that area. I'll keep going back to it, but I think that red area on this map, which shows the quarter to a half-inch ice amounts, also represent where we think the greatest number of power outages and downed trees will be. All right. And let's see what else. Areas east of US 1 will see the heaviest rain and will have the best chance to experience flash flooding. So I want to remind folks in that area, especially east of I-95, never drive through areas where water covers the road. All right. I think that's about it. If you see downed or hanging power lines, let your power company know or call that into emergency services and assume the power lines are active and stay away from them. Try not to drive over them. Just stay away from down power lines and always assume down power lines are active. All right. And of course, stay tuned to us at weather.gov/Raleigh for all the latest updates. We're going to do another one of these briefings at, at 9 a.m. tomorrow. So, at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're going to do another one of these webinars. Same time, same place, same way you're watching it now. And then we'll try to do more frequent updates throughout the day. Kind of more of a nowcast type information. We'll be bringing more frequent updates, hopefully shorter in duration, as we watch this storm system evolve. All right. So anyway, with that, I want to thank all of our friends who are watching this on Facebook, and our friends in emergency services partners who are watching on GoToWebinar. Hang in there. We'll get to your questions in just a minute. And with that, I wish everybody a good night and stay safe. And don't forget to follow those safety rules that I just laid out there for you. All right. So good night, everybody. We'll be back at 9 a.m. same time, same place to get you updated tomorrow morning. Thanks so much.